Well, hi everyone. I'm here again with Taylor. How are you, Taylor?
I am lovely. How are you today, Miss Bridget?
Oh, very good. Thank you. I'm great. It's finally spring up here. This is the
Ah,
perfect time. I'm looking like you could see outside my window,
ooh,
but
look.
you know that time it lasts about 5, 6 days when the little buds they turn into baby leaves and then they turn into full leaves. We're at the
Yes,
baby leaf stage, or not teenager leaves yet, and it lasts so we're at like 2 days in. It's just beautiful, and
mm,
I'm happy I'm here because I travel often and I often miss it. This year, I'm parking my butt right in Ottawa and I will be able to see the whole thing. And I'm enjoying that. So small
nice.
pleasures, you see? It
Right,
costs nothing. You're just happy anyway.
right.
Hey,
No more
you're
snow.
no, no, don't say it. Don't say it. It has been known to happen in May to have a
Mm,
snowstorm. We don't
mm,
want that. No, 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 no.
right.
Put the socks away. Like we're done. Um, we've announced that your mural. It's real. It's true. It's coming.
It's happening
But
and quickly, ready or
yeah,
not.
well,
They will.
that's the best way to get it done.
We've talked about it long enough. So let's put the money where our mouth is. They'll drop off our 40-foot boom truck tomorrow to
Oh,
start getting the wall clean, and then we'll paint as weather permits after. So we're right
okay.
here on Ninth Street. It will change the landscape of how Low Mill looks from the road anyway. So
So
we're
for anyone
excited.
who's in the area, starting what do you feel, maybe the 8th or 9th of
Ninth
May
in there.
ish, okay, depending on the weather. But if you're in the area, make sure you go to Low Mill and have a look because you can see art happening in real time.
It will be a cool thing to see anyway, the
Yeah.
process and how it goes up and just how quickly something so small as a coat of paint can change
Oh,
and
yes.
symbolize so many things to so many people. So I'm just grateful to have the opportunity.
It's storytelling with paint and colors and
I'm a
and
big
lines and
kindergartner, yes.
there you go. Well, not everybody has to grow up. It's not okay.
Right. It's a tough
Hey,
job.
but speaking of grown-ups, we have a new prime minister in Canada. I know you were following the election last week, but by way of updating. I think a lot of people who follow the news, it made the news down in the United States that Canada's election
Absolutely.
had been a bit of a to Donald Trump, and so we did that. I think we understood the assignment. It is not a majority government, so it's not quite as strong a mandate as it could have been, but I think the mandate is strong enough. And to timestamp this, we're recording on Monday. Tomorrow, May 6th, is the first meeting or set of meetings, it's not quite clear, between the new prime minister and your president. And I mean, this is for a guy who 6 months ago had not been in politics at all. Like, he's been around big tables, like, he's done big, important meetings in his life, but never as the guy in front of the camera, like the first guy in front of the camera. For a new politician, like, talk about sink or swim. Like, hello, welcome to your new job.
Absolutely.
How would you like to go meet Donald Trump and negotiate with him? So we'll see.
And I feel like that, you could take on the job, but are you ready for the reality TV portion of it?
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
right.
like everyone passed. It was just you go to the Oval Office, you sit down, you had private conversations, you were
hmm
discussing big events,
hmm
and now it's like a made for TV movie. So
Right.
I,
Yes.
you could take on negotiating if you didn't have the scrutiny of the soapbox and soap opera
That's
to go
right.
with it, for sure.
That's right. And for sure, like I don't have a lot of good things to say about Donald Trump, generally speaking. That was true before he became president the first time. But he's good at reality TV. Like that's his world.
Where he
And
excels, yes.
I don't think that's a compliment. But anyway, he's
No.
very, very good at that. And so, yes, I'll bet you the team has been preparing him, including for how to shake hands with him. Because when our previous prime minister, one of the first times that he was in the Oval Office with Donald Trump, because apparently he has Trump has a kind of a weird way of shaking your hands and pulling you in, kind of. And that was kind of awkward. And so we're really, apparently, not me personally, but like the team is really trying to avoid a repeat of that and also not getting Zelensky in the Oval Office. So we'll
Right.
see how that goes tomorrow. I mean, everyone here is like, yeah, go elbows up, and like we're ready for this thing. And so one more thing about the
Oh,
election last Monday is that the candidate who's my friend and with whom I'd been, working as a unpaid and informal advisor for a little, about 2 years, did beat the leader of the Conservative Party in his district, took his seat away from him. So now the leader
Mm,
of the opposition does not have a seat in the House of Commons, can't go into the House of Commons. Now, some guy who just won a seat, about the safest conservative seat you can think, in Alberta, has decided to step down and allow this guy to run in a by election to get himself a seat in the House of Commons. So we're forcing him to go through hoops. But my candidate, his name is Bruce Fanjoy, and some people were saying, "Well, is that a real name? Like this is a name made for this
yeah.
situation." That's actually his name. Completely legit guy, not a politician, just some guy who had retired and decided 2 years ago that he wanted to stand up to this Trumpy-ish style of politics coming over in Canada, and actually it worked. So now he's going to the House of Commons to represent the people of that district. And the decision in that case did not come in until almost 4 or 4:30 a.m. And it was a long, long night. And I'm not 40 anymore, man. I don't do all-nighters like I used
No,
to. And
no, no, no.
it's taken me all week to recover.
And you sat and watched the results come in with him, didn't you?
I was in his house until, I mean, I was not going to give up, and there I was until about 3 or 3:30, and he said, "All right, I'm going to bed," and I went, "Me too, I'm going to bed," and so we did, and then we woke up to a victory, and he won by I can't remember the exact number, but it was well over 4,000 votes difference. So
Doesn't
it
matter. He
cle
won.
he
That's all
won
that matters.
the turnout rate in that district was over 80%, which
Oh,
is amazing. And he won 50% of over 50% of the votes cast. Yeah. So that was, I mean, we were, and he made the news all over the world, and everyone's like, this guy is not paying for his beer anymore anywhere in this country.
there
So
are worse
people are very
problems to
happy.
have. Right,
Exactly.
right, right.
So that's
Mm.
good. And then, of course, over the weekend, we saw the Australian folks
Uh,
having their own elections,
they
and they
understood
pulled
as
a
well.
Canuck. Yeah, they pulled a Canuck. I like to say that they. I mean, you don't want to read too much into it either. Like this was not. I'm sure Australia has their own. They have their own issues and their own politics, and not everything is about Donald Trump everywhere. But it's hard to deny that he's got a bit of a reverse Midas touch at this point. Like everything he touches turns to shit. Excuse my French, but that's what it is.
Yeah,
Like,
you
it's
are you
not
are
going
correct
well for him.
there. Yeah, just on the global stage, you don't want to be associated with that name right now, or with the United States for that matter.
That's right.
It's a weird place to be in because we were
Hmm.
everybody's ally, and
Hmm.
now we're the exact opposite to most of the world. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see how it all plays out. But people are just tired of everything being expensive everywhere, and we're not helping that cause at
Hmm.
all. Jerking
Hmm.
papers around that we're signing executive orders left and right, and nobody
Right.
knows about tariffs, and it's just crazy.
Mm. What worries me, and I think that the situation will change when people start seeing they start going to Target and they see an empty shelf.
And they can't get their children's Halloween candy or costumes,
Or
and
whatever it is at that
uh,
time that they're
you
going to get
know,
to, right? But
uh
it's not it's even more than just like specifically this one item that everybody needs. It's just the lack of choice, seeing scarcity on the shelf. I think
and
it's going to hit the American psyche and say, wait a minute, what is going on?
right, that we don't have all the choices that we thought we had.
Hmm. Hmm.
It will be interesting,
Hmm.
because so much of what we buy is owned by the same large manufacturers. They're just
Right.
branded under different names.
Hmm.
So it's not a nothing fun to look forward to, but
Yeah. So, because I like you a lot, I didn't ask you to watch the speech that Mr. Trump gave to the University of Alabama, but I read a description of it. They said it was an hour long, over an hour, and meandering. And I thought, oh, I've heard that speech before. You didn't listen to it, did you?
so I didn't listen, but I did get, your daughter would be ashamed. I used Chat GPT, to get, I wasted a couple of bottles of water, to fact check and just get the high points of it because I could
Right.
not be a part, of that rhetoric. Interestingly enough, there was a large amount of people in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, that were protesting
Mm,
as this was going on. But
right.
just like you, I heard a lot of rhetoric,
Hmm.
a lot of business speak, and then our favorite thing to talk about in America are trans athletes. They came up again in a commencement speech. I'm not sure how that works with your diploma or
Hmm.
your new. I don't know, but how do we circle back to trans athletes or trans children in everything we do? But that was also
It's like
part of
they're.
it.
It's almost like he's obsessed with it.
And would that explain why trans is such a large category of pornography? Because we're so obsessed with it, but we don't want to talk about it, and that's how
Right.
are they showing that? But is
Hmm.
that a telltale because they bring it up all the time? What's going on? Like,
Hmm. Actually,
I don't
there is some of that, and there's a not to sidetrack too much, but there's a friend of mine, a Canadian academic, who's a trans feminine legal scholar, who wrote a book, wrote several books about that. But their latest is their name is Florence Ashley, and their latest, and block your ears if you have sensitive ones, but it's called Gender Fucking. And it is actually an academic study, but it's raw. Like it's not for everyone. And I'll put a
know.
link in the notes to that. I highly recommend it. But again, like if you're easily offended, this won't be for you because in
This
it they
podcast
talk
might not
about,
be for you.
but the book certainly like there's fairly graphic, like as not graphic in the pornographic sense, but it's explained. Like it goes through that whole explanation of sexual acts, attraction, and how some of from this person's point of view, and especially coming from cisgender heterosexual men who are apparently, in this person's experience, have a weird, almost shameful, half hidden attraction for
Absolutely.
bodies that are in transition or what you call
Mhm.
non-conforming.
Right.
And this is, but again, this is a serious book. It's not like it's not a porn
But
book. But it's like, anyway, I'll put the link. I highly recommend, again, with the warning that you may be offended by some descriptions.
mhm.
But it's really good, and this person is doing amazing work of putting that out in the open.
But we see so many times that the people that beat the drum the loudest
Mhm.
are the ones that are actually, doing it
Right.
behind the
I
scenes,
know. I know.
whether it's
Yeah.
anti-trans or
Mm.
anti-gay or anti-black or white or yellow or
Hmm.
green. Those are the
Hmm.
ones that are the deepest in it.
Hmm. Yeah, the family values men are the ones who cheat the most, in my experience. Anyway, uh, speaking of sharks, no, see, that's a terrible sequitur because I wanted to talk about this because it's been talked about a great deal now, and I love going down to the coast. I love
Mm.
the Gulf of Mexico and the beaches
Where is
down in
that at?
Clearwater, not Clearwater, but Destin, Florida, and Mobile, and all those areas. So there's a couple of places I know more than others, but it's just like beautiful sandy white sandy beaches, and it's just a lovely place. So sure enough, of course, there are sharks in it, and there's been this bill that's been going through the Alabama legislature, named after a girl named Lulu who got half of her leg or a full leg beaten off by a shark. And so the bill is about having on your phone some kind of warnings whenever there's like a real sighting of sharks. If a shark attack is I guess, imminent or possible, then you get an alert on your phone to tell you maybe now is
Hmm.
not the good time to go into the water. And like, so first of all, so I watched Jaws when I was way too young, and I've had this irrational, completely, like even in pools when I was a kid, I was afraid of sharks. And I know there are no sharks in pools, okay? I did say it was irrational. So sharks, and I'm like, "Ugh," but sharks have a right to be there too, right? So I get that. So that's why I'm always like this nervous swimmer when I go into the ocean or into the Gulf of Mexico. Uh, so part of me is like, yeah, we should be warned when there are things like that, but then you don't want false warnings also by people like me who see anything and think that's a shark, and it's not a shark, it's a bird or it's whatever, right?
It's a shadow,
So,
yes.
anyways, Right, it's a shadow. It could very well be a shadow. Anyway, so this is coming on, and I'm like morbidly interested in it. And I probably won't go and swim and use it. But what I found interesting in the stories, they said that people actually routinely ignore all kinds of flags to not go in the water when conditions are too dangerous. They go anyway, so I'm just not sure that this is going to do much of anything. But fortunately, shark attacks are rare. But what do you go? Are you afraid? You're not like me. You're not like silly,
Well, first of
scared
all,
of shark.
I'm gonna come in on that, that people ignore red flags, and
Yeah,
I'm guilty of that with my first marriage. But we grew up at the beach, you know. We respect the water.
yeah.
We knew that there are sharks out there that we can't see, and you swam, but you just had a little common sense about it. If you saw a school of fish running, as we call it, down the beach, a larger fish of some kind is chasing it.
Right.
Common sense would say, let's get out of the way of the larger fish. Let's not be out so deep by ourselves, you know, unless you were in a
Mm-hmm.
kayak or. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that fear. We've seen small ones, you know. You leave them alone, but you're in their house, you know. If you come
Right.
in falling out of my ceiling, you know, into my lap in the middle of the night, I'm gonna bite you too. You know,
I get it. Yeah. The sharks are doing shark things. They're being sharks.
and it's sad that they bite,
Mhm.
but I don't know that an app's gonna help that.
Right. Probably not.
Because
Anyway.
if I'm in the water, I'm not going to have my phone.
Thank you.
I
Right.
mean, just let's break it down to the common sense there, but you know, I don't know. And we grew up on a private beach, so there were
Mm,
no, the city didn't service it, so there were no flags.
right. Or lifeguards or people trained to tell whether that's a
No,
shadow or a bird or
we
actually a
were
shark or yeah.
we were 25 miles from town, out by Fort Morgan. So if you had to even get to a hospital or a doctor, I mean, you had a
Mm,
30-minute ride into town. So
mm-hmm.
we just learned, I guess, safety, common sense.
Right.
If we rely on an app for everything, I don't know how much of that we have left.
Right. I remember the first time I golfed with I'm not much of a golfer, but for a while there I did a little bit of it. And there was a alligator on the course. That was in
Mhm.
North Carolina somewhere. And of course in the South there are alligators.
Mhm.
I'm this little Canadian person here, like alligators are scary to me. And so I'm on the course and I see this alligator. Like, there's an alligator on the course. It was like 100 feet away. And I said, if you don't bother, and excuse my trying to imitate the accent, but if you don't bother him none, he won't bother you none. Okay. That's good to know. Just out of curiosity, anything in particular that bothers with alligators? I could try and avoid doing that. Like, no, no, it's and he's sleeping. He's hibernating. No, the hibernating thing was not sleeping at all. It was like swimming and walking and doing things. Anyway, but I did not get eaten by the alligator. It's just a matter of something you're used to is a lot less, it seems less dangerous to you, like sharks to you, than alligators to me. There's fortunately not very much that's especially dangerous up here. It's like we don't have, even rattlesnakes. They're very few and far between, and they're not aggressive. We have snow though, and like people are scared of our snow. And to me, it's like I'm used to that. So it's this proximity. And if you grew up with it and you knew how to handle, and like, again, seeing that school of fish going really fast, yeah, something's chasing it. So
Mhm.
don't be in the way of the thing that's chasing it, just in case it's a
Right.
big thing that won't make the difference.
If you missed that Disney movie, it does the circle of life, and this is how it goes.
Right.
Like, let's
Right.
just stay out of the way, you'll be fine. Yeah.
Stay out of the side of the circle for once, and then you won't
Yeah.
be anything's dinner. Anyway, it's been a week, honestly.
I can't,
Yeah,
but it feels like it's been 2 weeks since we've last talked. It's just
right.
been nonstop. But a good busy, so we'll see. It's going to be a busier
Mhm.
week once that boom hits tomorrow, and we start painting whenever it's not raining. So,
And we can't know what it's going to be, when it's going to look like, because I won't see it until it's done completely. So you can't like give me a preview, no?
so I don't have a preview. I've got it in my
Okay.
head. I've got the
Mm,
wall gridded off, because I'm old school, and a lot of people will disagree. Um, when you use a projector and you trace it, I feel
hmm
like that's cheating. I really do
hmm
as an artist. I just,
Okay.
that's just my personal feeling. I was
Yeah.
taught that you use graph paper and you graph it off and you break it down. And
Right.
But my things are looser and freer, and it will be obvious. I'll tell you hands. That's what I do.
Okay.
The
Uh-huh.
large, emotional, charged artwork. So we'll have big hands outside. I will say that, but it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, well, I very much look forward to seeing that. And again, for people who are in the area, it's at Low Mill Arts and Entertainment on Ninth and Seminole, right?
No, and even if you're at Gold Sprint Coffee, just
Hmm.
pop out the front door and you can see it happening. All the way down Ninth Street, you can see it happening.
And people can wave at you, and then if you see them, you'll wave back.
Blow the horn, yes, so I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, all the best with that. I hope the weather
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
cooperates because that's always
Mm,
nice.
it's
And
nasty
yeah,
here.
hmm, can't be that. Is it really? Can't be. Is it rain?
Yeah,
Lots of rain
it's
these
been
days?
rainy. Yeah, just rainy. So
Mm, mm.
we'll get a couple of days this week, and then we'll hit it hard next week. So
You'll have good karma, I'm sure. Okay.
yeah.
And I will talk to you next week.
All right. Thank you, love. Have a great night.
Okay. You too. Bye.
Bye bye.